Today's review comes from probably one of my top 3 of the worst craft beer brewers in the UK. Yep, this is Tiny Rebel and this is Hadouken. It's an amplified IPA, but what's that all about? Keep on watching to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to Tiny Rebel down in South Wales. This is one of the new beers in Sainsbury supermarkets. Amplified IPA, 6.2%. Now I said in the intro that they're one of my least favourite, so to give a bit of context, Brewdog, Beavertown, these guys. You know, it's just, I don't want to feel like I'm I don't like the fact that they have been successful. And their marketing is very good. They're very well established in supermarkets, but I find that a lot of their beers have got they're all a bit wacky and a bit crazy for their own good, really, and they don't have any solid beers. I mean, I've had a few. I mean, one of my first beers I probably drank craft beers was probably Club Tropica, which was at the time I thought was all right. It was quite good, in fact, but obviously as I developed and drank more beers, I realised that it wasn't that great. And they just do lots of beers with weird adjuncts in them. But this one doesn't seem to have any adjuncts in it, but it is called an amplified IPA. I don't know what an amplified IPA is. It doesn't sort of tell us much on the blurb about what that is. It doesn't tell us the hops. We don't really know much about this at all. So let's crack it open, get it in a glass, and drink it, as we like to do. Yeah, I mean, I did one a 505 or something like that. That was all right. They've had some all right sort of beers, but a lot of their beers have been just bang average, really. But we'll see what this one's like, and we'll see what amplified IPA is all about. This is obviously part of the Sainsbury's £3.50 beers. You can buy 4 of them for the price of 3. Beer in a glass. Well, colour-wise, definitely what I'm looking for. It's a very yellow, golden yellow sort of beer. Loads of carbonation though, lots of carbon. You can see how much carbonation is sticking to that glass. It's got a haze, but there's also, if you look at the bottom, it's quite light. Yeah, you can't see your hand through or anything, but it's still light when it comes to a hazy IPA. We've got literally a finger, pretty compacted, fairly ice white head. But so far, the signs are promising. Let's see what the aroma's like. Nothing overly pungent. It's a sweetness, almost like a creamy sort of vanilla-y smell. It might even have something sort of like a Sabro sort of coconutty sort of thing in it. It's quite inviting, but again, there's a sweet aroma that's not very sort of fruity in a way that's very sort of artificially sweet. But the proof is going to be in the pudding, as they say, so let's drink it. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this has got Sabro in it. It's a light beer. It's smooth. It's got a little bit of creaminess, but the creaminess is more in the flavour than the sort of mouthfeel. A lot of the time when I describe a beer, it's got like a creamy or velvety sort of mouthfeel. It's because it's smooth and it's got like a medium body. But this is very light. There's a bit of zingy carbonation, more than I would probably certainly expect from an IPA at 6.2%. But it doesn't taste too artificial. Let's go in again. I think the flavour would be better if the body was a little thicker. It's very light, almost to the point of being a little watery. Carbonation, I thought it was a little bit sort of zippy, a little fizzy in there, but actually the more I drink it, it's smoother. It gets a bit smoother. There's definitely something like Sabro in it, but it's not pungent. Like, you know, you think of Sabro in a lot of 6% plus IPAs, you know, it's got big flavours, the pina colada, that pineapple, coconut, lime flavours. This is very subtle, and there's lots of the rest of it, I say, there are lots of it. The rest of it is very citrusy in a very sort of generic sort of way. So lemons, a little bit of grapefruit, a little bit of lime, maybe even a little bit of pineapple in there as well. As Tiny Rebel beers go, this isn't bad though. I think if it was had a little bit more body to it, it would be a really cracking beer. But it's just a little bit too light and watery in the mouthfeel to get those flavours to really sort of sing. It is a bit similar to their, I'm sure it was 505. I think it's still available, or some musical sort of theme one, which I thought wasn't bad. This is similar. It's really drinkable. I don't know why it's what amplified IPA means. The flavours are sort of quite sharp, and the thing that I like about it, and the thing that I wasn't expecting, is that it doesn't taste like this adjuncts in this at all. It tastes like a proper beer with proper hops in it, which is always you just think, oh, well, surely you'd expect that of every beer, but when it comes to some of these Tiny Rebels and certainly and Beaver Towns and Brewdogs, and the reason why I don't really like them is that it tastes like they've got a blend of hops made with some sort of concentrate. It doesn't really taste real, but this does taste quite real. But being a supermarket beer, I mean, they've made a compromise a little bit in terms of the sort of maybe the number of hops, or maybe the amount of oat and wheats and stuff like that in it, because it's quite light. But I'd buy this again. It's refreshing. It's got that little bit of Sabro flavour that comes in. I think it's Sabro. It's not going to be Sriracha. It's not too coconutty. There's coconut, but there is that lime and pineapple that comes in with it. So I think that's good flavour. As I say, if the body was better, it'd be a real banger. It really would. But it's from Tiny Rebel. It is a good beer. And in terms of supermarket beers go, yeah, I'm already going to say I'd recommend this. So, yeah, I think it's a good beer. It's nice. I like it. Yeah. Tiny Rebel, you're coming back into my... I'm going to say, I won't be as harsh to judge you. I will sort of give you the benefit of the doubt. But I think this is a very solid beer from a supermarket. I say, buy 4 of these, you're paying $2.66 a can. That's a cracking value. I don't know. I'd almost go to say that it's maybe even a little bit better than the Northern Monk one, which, you know, is a big statement to make, but I think it's pretty good. So let me know. Hadouken. I don't really know what an amplified IPA. I think that's where they've done the marketing on this one, you know, without putting some sort of crazy flavour in it or whatever. They've just called it amplified IPA to get you going, oh, what's that? What's that going to taste like? It just tastes like an IPA. A light one. I wouldn't say it was that amplified, but they're moving in the right direction, I think, in terms of beers. So yeah, that's pretty good. So let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Tiny Rebel Amplified IPA, and it is called Hadouken. I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but this is a solid beer. I'm surprised. Tiny Rebel have actually surprised me. So let's go for the scores, starting with aroma, appearance, flavour, value for money, my overall experience. Totting the scores up, it's a recommended beer. It's a White Snake beer. It's in the high 70s. Total score, yeah, for a supermarket beer, this is pretty good. And it's like, I think all of these new Sainsbury's ones, you know, we've had this is the third of 4. I would drink them again. I think they're all good. The Polly's is definitely a step up from the other 2, but they're still all solid beers. So if you're in the supermarkets and you think, yeah, I fancy buying 4 different beers for, you know, for £10.50, £2.66 a beer, I reckon this one should be in there. As the Polly's and probably the Northern Monk as well. You know, I think that all 3 of them have certainly been average or just a little bit more above average. And as I say, for the value for money you get with them, I think it's definitely worth buying. So let me know what you think if you're cracking through those Sainsbury's new beers at the moment. Which one is sticking out to you? Is rising above the averageness? I still think it's Polly's. Even trying to take my Polly's hat off, which I obviously wear a lot on this channel, I still think it is still the one to beat. So yeah, we've got a special Pacific IPA, which I think is a West Coast coming next. So keep an eye out for that one. And until the next one, you know what you do: drink a craft beer and keep on rocking.